Ladies and gentlemen,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today with Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
If you're ready to talk, we're willing to listen.
Well, I really enjoy this program today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
May God bless every person.
Good afternoon and welcome. Thanks so much for joining us. You had a chance today to start things off on a favorite topic. As we focus on education, we'll tell you about a wonderful scholarship opportunity. So please stay tuned for Talk Today.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. MedLab in Smith Road Plaza, your complete medical laboratory solution. Call 949-7331. And Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village, convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email talktoday@candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255.
Courtesy of Flow.
Cayman's #1 network that connects you to your world like never before.
Let your voice be heard. Once again, here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back, and thanks very much for joining us. It's a chance to show how many hands indeed make light work, and as we draw alongside, we can really not just educate and empower, but we can create a wonderful, truly memorable experience for our children when it comes to education. As we talk about the Cayman International School, the Cayman Citizen Scholarship Program. Join us, Ms. Rita Imparado. It's always a pleasure, man. I see you from a distance. Sometimes I get the pleasure of coming into the office. Must be like once every 4 years almost, it seems like. Especially when we were doing the DI program, it was amazing. Yes. But when you think about it, as head of admissions and sort of community relations, you see the growing impact schools have on communities, but communities have on schools as well. And even in the Cayman context, we see whether you live in East End or you live in West Bay, on the island of Grand Cayman, everything is interacted and impacting. But when you think of Cayman Brac and Little Cayman, small body of water, deep as it is, we're still connected. And what happens there still is almost as if it's happening right next door to. So thank you for being that part of it. Tell us about it, maybe, before we get into the program itself. How is CIS? How is that growth? I mean, you've had phenomenal success and physical growth and impacting students' lives in a very positive way.
Well, thank you, Sterling. Yes, CIS has grown tremendously these past years. I can remember when my daughter started school, and it was literally maybe 90 students, early childhood through grade 12, and now we're over, correct me if I'm wrong, over 960 some odd students at this time. So we've definitely seen a tremendous growth within our school, within our community, but hopefully we've also been impactful not just to our students who attend our school, but to the community at large here in Cayman and to the citizens of this island.
Indeed. And join us also, and if you're on YouTube, then you'll go with it's county. Yeah, we have a lot of people around the table. It's almost like, a cabinet meeting and government decision being made. So we have 2 current students as well, and we have a past recipient. First, David Lee. We sometimes feel as if we're forced by our parents to do things, even get up in the morning and go to school, forced to do music lessons. Sometimes they even force us to play sports and go outside, get some exercise. But then for some of us, our parents have to almost hold us back from getting into the school bus or be waiting in the car for them to take us to school. And I think that's because the environment in which we go is so fun. It's our friends, it's the thing we're doing. We feel like this. From the little that I know of you from a distance, you were those students that, Sundays, it should be school today. Friday night, it should be school, right?
I don't know so much about being that excited for school, but I was one to be, excited for learning, excited for sports and extracurricular activities, and I actually think it's, every child has ambition, and with that ambition, you can use that to fuel your dreams and success and go on. But you do need your parents to be behind you as much as possible. I think it would take a very special student that, without that support from, strong background of parents and family and friends to succeed. And even for me, a lot of the things I've gone on to do, and even my time at CIS was, very much fueled by that support. So it is important, and it is important that our parents and friends encourage what we do and support us.
Sometimes we hear our parents, educators in particular, but adults in general, that education is a great equalizer. And sometimes as a young child, you're not quite sure what do they mean. But as you get older, not just in years, but in sort of experiences, you realize how significant education becomes and how much it allows you to sit at the table. If we were here playing a game of dominoes and everybody was educated in the game, it doesn't matter if the person is 30 or 13. If it's a skilled person with the rules and the strategy, one could easily beat the other, irrespective of age. So education is that equalizer?
Yeah, it is, and everyone should be sort of just thirsty for knowledge, really. It opens up so many opportunities for you. Not just, in terms of career opportunities, but in terms of travel opportunities and going around and studying abroad, working abroad, and ultimately bringing that knowledge back to Cayman for the benefit of the community.
And that's perhaps where we don't appreciate what education can do. We talk about it opens doors for us, and literally, it does. As you shared, through travel, through engagements and interactions. So join us as well as a chance to appreciate why our children get up as early as they do, why they put in the hours, and at the end of the day, even if there are complaints about, more homework and more school, there's a joy. So we have two of the CIS students currently, Miss Alina Dante, one of the 9th grade students, and then Zion Barton, 10th grade. Miss Alina, from that perspective, it's probably would surprise many parents to actually hear that their children like school, enjoy school. From your perspective, because I never did like school. I never missed it. I loved it. What is it like being a student now, 2 years in of this last 2 centuries, and all that it is has changed?
Our teachers are... I enjoy school because our teachers, they're excited to help us, and they're there. They're not there just to teach us, but also to help us, and they're excited to help us outside of school and give us opportunities. And they give us time where they are expected to help us if we need extra support, and they're always there ready for us to ask them questions and help them and help us in any way that we need.
Zion, sometimes we go through education, and that very first day for some of us, I can still remember that first day, being dry, kicking and screaming, I don't want to go, I'd rather go fishing. And that was yesterday, actually. I was that this morning, coming to work. And then it just clicks, you just enjoy it. And then you go primary, middle, and then high school. And it's, for some reason, the adults say to us, well, no, it's important. You got to, this is when the credits count, the GPA gets part of it. For you, being in grade 10, you got 2 more, you got college perspectives. How do you find that change in year from there? And
I think the teachers really help us with that, because like Alina said, they want to teach us, they want to help us. And from young, it's not just teaching us the content, not just like spending extra hours with us telling us what stuff is. It's also teaching us how to learn and teaching us how to study, because every student's individual, every student's unique. So they try and find a way that really helps you study, helps you learn, so that if you move up a year, it doesn't make it more difficult to learn, because you still have those base foundations implemented.
And I think, Ms. Rita, that's the key thing, the engagement, the excitement, but also that level that teachers bring to the table. many times we don't appreciate it from the wider community. We know it exists, but we hear it being very evident in the students' comments. Your students are actively participating in many things that are sort of civic engagement, from the cleanups to the environmental concerns. School is just more than just the books and the learning and the reading.
Absolutely, absolutely. At the end of the day, CIS is helping students become strong citizens and people who want to help everyone in their community, be it locally or internationally. So we're very proud of that, and we're proud of the fact that we have so many leaders, young leaders, who want to really take a look at the future of Cayman and make it into something that truly continues to be incredible.
Mm-hmm. And that's what it's about. So when we come back from this first break, let me invite you to share more about the scholarship program, the eligibility, what's available, how do you apply, and the like. Because this is April, so Easter's coming, summer's going to be shortly, the new school year starts.
Yes.
In the blink of an eye. Is it too late? Well, how do we get involved? So we get people to know more. All right, this is a wonderful scholarship program that's continuing at CIS. We're going to take you to be a part of it. So please stay tuned for Talk Today.
Subway is serving up a special new sauce, bursting with flavor in every bite. The new Savory Collection is a tropical sweet and spicy sauce made with a combination of spices, habanero peppers, thyme, onion, black pepper, ginger, citrus juices, and molasses.
So good. Wow. Sensational. Delicious.
Subway's Savory Collection pairs perfectly with our oven roasted chicken or steak sub. Savor the flavor. For a limited time, only at Subway. Subway. Eat fresh.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointment.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Ask our professional team about the benefits of cutting-edge technology with MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
The offices of dermatologist Dr. Wayne Porter will be taking appointments until April 9th at his Crew Road Clinic. Appointments slots are limited. Whether you're seeking advanced skin care, Botox filler, cosmetic skin enhancements, or simply looking to reduce wrinkles, Dr. Porter offers a full-service dermatology and dermatological surgery practice. For more information, email dr.portercayman@gmail.com or call 946-9020 to book your appointment today. That's 946-9020.
Raising children is costly. That is why each year the Ministry of Education provides, through its Early Childhood Assistance Program, funding to assist Caymanian children to attend an early childhood center. For early childhood funding assistance, call the Early Childhood Care and Education Unit at 244-3155 or 936-0267, or download an application form from the Ministry's website at www.gov.ky/education and email the completed form to ecap@gov.ky.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. And thanks very much for joining us. I'm hoping that you're able to, put a little laughter in your step today. And as we talk about education, there's a scholarship program over at CIS that we want you to be a part of. Continue our discussion as we speak to Ms. Rita Parada. The scholarships that are available, sometimes even very early on for academics, athletics, even the arts. Mm-hmm. Many times parents themselves are not always cognizant of, well, do I qualify? How do I apply? How should when? Help us to appreciate in this context.
Excellent, Sterling. That's a great question. So CIS has just opened up their scholarship application for the 22-23 school year, and we're excited that we're going to have opportunities for students who are applying for either grade 9, 10, or 11 to come to our school and potentially be a part of it. So the application process is quite simple in the sense that they will go onto our CIS website and find the admissions page, and then there's a big button that says to apply for the scholarship, and it's really that part is seeing if you're eligible. The main eligibility is that you do have to be Caymanian to apply for this scholarship at our school. And from there, then we get you set up so that then you can actually complete the application. And the application and all the forms and information do need to be into us. The deadline is April 30th. So we're kind of doing a push at this time to go ahead and get as many students who are interested. We're looking for students who have that love for learning, who want to get involved in the community, who enjoy sports, a little bit some well-rounded students and students who think, yeah, I want to be a part of CIS and everything that they have to offer there.
And as you shared, it's not just about teaching and learning, but that lifelong friendships that you may form. And I'll come back to ask you more about the criteria, but David, it's easier for us who may have already finished, high school, who've probably done some post-secondary, who may be in their careers, to look back and say, okay, that wasn't so bad, or I remember this thing, and it was, but look what it's taught me. Than for the student entering high school for the first time, or even about to graduate, they may still feel a little tentative. Give us a perspective of what you recall it being like in high school and the early formative years and the like.
Yeah, it was a difficult time. I mean, like you say, it is easy to look back and think, that was pretty easy. That went by really quickly. But, during the process, you do get stuck into your deadlines. You try and balance so many things. And, yeah, I mean, one of the biggest things about, going to CIS and education in general is about being a well-rounded student, like you said. And when you try and do that, you're going into school, you're learning, you're doing exams, you've got a football game the next day, you might have band practice, and that's, it can be very difficult to try and get all of those things in at once, but it is important. So, I would say that is probably the biggest thing to focus on, is just being well-rounded and, not dwelling so much on straight A's, but, good grades, and making sure that you're developing yourself as a person in other respects as well.
I'm glad that you shared that, because I think sometimes those grades are probably more for the parent and the administration of education across the country, from the political and government appointed to the private school boards, and they want to see what the grades, how are our students doing relative to scholarships and employment. The grades are important, don't get me wrong. But as you shared, that well-rounded development, almost to a place where that saying has become a cliche itself. Then fast forward into your career as an attorney, those skills that you were negotiating on the football field or debating in the classroom, or even sometimes changing classes or at break, they become very, very helpful in the professional world.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you can focus all day on studying and doing well, and you come up with these straight A's, but if you from my experience, when you're going up for a scholarship or you're going up for a job in an interview, employers will look at not just grades, but the qualities of that person and the attributes, and what do they spend their time doing outside of academics. And if you've got someone that plays football, plays music, plays a specific instrument, does whatever other sport, it shows that that person has qualities that they would need within that practice or within that group. Football, for instance, you work with a team, right? And within that team, you don't always see eye to eye. So it's, finding a compromise with those people, finding a way to lead certain people. And obviously that helps you as you go forward, communication skills. I played quite a bit of music when I was in high school. And, when you have a band, I had a rock band. And when you're in a band with 4 to 5 people and you're practicing in your bedroom, you're you're falling out all the time. You're communicating, you're creating things together for the benefit of this one unit. And that's the same way that people approach the workplace, really.
Well, that's good, man. We had a lot in common. You had a rock band, had a rubber band, and a pet rock. Sometimes you wouldn't play with me. Just kidding. No, but that's the the notion of the teamwork. You talk about football. Every single player on the team is crucial, from the striker to the goalkeeper, but even the subs are waiting to make a part of the first 11, as it were. If I might, though, Zion, to you and Alina, from the perspective that as students, trying to balance the vigors of the academic pursuits, almost the demands sometimes of our parents and our teachers as loving, and then the desires to interact and engage with our friends. Selena?
I mean, sometimes it's difficult because not only for my parents but also for myself, I want to see myself get some good grades and prove them that I'm like a good daughter. But sometimes if you're not happy with at school, and if you don't like going to school, and it's not, that's the majority of your day, and if you don't enjoy going there, you need to have something that you look forward to, and being well-rounded, and it feels good when you help the community, and when you go and do something you enjoy, it makes you feel good, which makes you then enjoy the rest of your day and enjoy going back to school. You need to find a balance that is healthy for your life, because if it's not, it can become a very unhealthy cycle.
It happens whether you're an adolescent, an adult, or whether you're just near sometimes retirement. That balance, so learn it. Zion, if I can ask, the pressure that sometimes we put on ourselves, especially as students, but even as athletes, we're a football player, we're the supposed centre forward, the main striker, we're the centre back or the goalkeeper. We can't let our team down. We got to be on point all the time. How do we deal with that pressure? What is it like for you as you strike the balance between all the other pursuits and ensuring your academic is there?
Well, I think there's a consistent overlap in all of them, where it's like you have to deal with sometimes not getting what you want or failure, just trying to bounce back, because if you get a poor grade in a class, you have to try and improve, or if you do poor in the football field, if your goalie letting a goal or miss open net as a striker, it's still trying to find out how to balance back from that, and still how to pursue other things as well, just so you're, like Alina said, a well-balanced person, which is another reason why CIS is such a great school. It provides many different opportunities. I never knew I was a musical person. I never knew that until I tried playing an instrument in the band, and I really enjoyed that. So it opens up many different doors.
Yeah, and I'm glad that those opportunities exist, because back in the day I was in school playing the radio, was just static. I didn't even realize I could even play the radio, but Ms. Rita, I'm glad that both your students emphasize that, and that's very evident. The environment that the school creates is tantamount to their life's enjoyment, the balance, the success. But that thing that they sort of have within them that comes out later on in life as future parents and politicians and principals. Tell us about this program, more specifically the academic component, because you offered a scholarship, as you shared, either for the last 4 years of high school or the last 2 years. Are all the recipients expected to be a part of your IB program?
So that is a good question. Yes, we do want our recipients to partake in the IB program. We do think it's really important. Academically, it is rigorous and does allow for our students to really have a lot of opportunities within that program, right? So there are what's lovely about the IB program is that you still have to study 6 core classes, right? And then on top of that, you're also doing theory of knowledge. You are doing a service project and an extended essay. So that is not just academically powerful for them, but then also because of their CAS projects that they do and their extended essay, it really does ensure that they are going to be learning and doing something that is important to them and studying and doing what they really want to do.
I think there's also a language component, from what I remember.
Yes, that is one of the 6 courses. So at our school you would be doing Spanish, but if you haven't done Spanish, you can even do Ab Initio, which is the beginning of either Spanish or French, but those would be actually online through the IB program, though.
And David, sometimes, again, I keep getting more of us as parents in particular to appreciate that, whether we're 50 or we're 35, that 15-year difference, the education that the children experience now, is significantly different from what we did so long ago. The principles are still there, but the environment has changed significantly. Translate that now into leaving school not that long ago, and a young professional, upwardly mobile, very ambitious, and striking that balance between physical, mental health as you pursue the financial sort of, goals.
Yeah, I mean, I talk a lot about balance, and obviously, IB is really good in that it doesn't sort of force you to make that decision early into, I think if you compare that to A-levels and so on, you go into 3 subjects right away, and it's almost, analogous to having to make a decision when you're just a teenager as to what career you want to go into. I always think that decision was a bit forced on us to make at too early of a stage, and obviously IB is useful in that way. But yeah, I talk a lot about striking this balance, and as easy as it is for me to sit here and say, be a balanced student, do everything you can, get it all in. It really isn't easy, and it's something that you constantly work on. It's dynamic. I'll go into work today. I've got a work social, and then I've got football afterwards. I have to try and balance that. I need to get enough sleep, and I might not get enough sleep. It might affect me the next day, and it can be
school. A lot of school.
I mean, yeah, it basically is school for adults, and once you get there, you realize adults are just trying to figure it out as well.
Yeah.
I'm 24 now, and you figure at this point in your life you'll know everything you're doing. You have it all figured out, but it's it's a constant thing. You're constantly learning mortgages, loans, and so on. It's not necessarily taught to you when you're a teenager, so you've got to figure that out as you go into it. But I think the way to really achieve that all is to just see it as a challenge, approach it as a challenge, and the more you work at it, the better placed you'll be to achieving that goal.
If I might ask, but I think I'm so appreciative of what you shared. We learn a lot in school. I mean, we don't realize how much we learn in school until probably we become grandparents in some cases. Not that I'm there yet, but that's what I'm told. You don't know everything. At 14, you do. When you're 24, you start to realize you're not quite sure. When you're 40, you go, I did. If I might with you, Zion, from that, hearing David talk about figuring it out as we go along, and we put a lot of pressure on ourselves, and your career choices potential. You don't need to share unless you wish. This is what I'm thinking I would like to do. After high school, which universities I want, what careers I want to pursue. Don't share if you don't wish, but in knowing that, some feel empowered and some feel, but if I don't know that, I'm confused. When we come back from the break, we want to talk about that a bit so that other parents who are listening and potential students to appreciate we don't need to know everything yet. I mean, what is it? The reason you get to live a long life is so that because you can't make all the mistakes at once. That's what I was told. We're going to pause and take that break. When we come back, more talk today.
A caring and community spirit, cherished family and cultural values. These are some of the things that still embodies the Caymanian way of life in the Eastern Districts today. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, is delighted to offer products and services of real value. Whether it's catering to your family's medical needs or carrying apparel, gifts, and beauty products, Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
Subway is serving up a special new sauce, bursting with flavor in every bite. The new Savory Collection is a tropical sweet and spicy sauce made with a combination of spices, habanero peppers, thyme, onion, black pepper, ginger, citrus juices, and molasses.
So good. Wow. Sensational. Delicious.
Subway's Savory Collection pairs perfectly with our oven roasted chicken or steak sub. Savor the flavor. For a limited time, only at Subway. Subway. Eat fresh.
CUC Advisory. Due to infrastructure upgrades, customers on Poindexter Road in Prospect from Shamrock Road to Patrick's Island, as well as from Frank Hall Homes off Rex Creighton Boulevard, will experience interruptions to their electrical service on Thursday, April 7th between 9 a.m. and 1 p.m. For more information on the outage, please contact CUC's customer service team at 949-5200 or email service@cuc.ky.
Research tells us that the best age for parents to start having conversations with their children about the dangers of underage drinking is when their kids are 9 years old. Studies show that parents have a significant influence on young people's decision to drink. So talk, they are listening. The NDC offers parents advice on how to talk to their children about underage drinking and prepares you for the tough questions like, did you drink as a child? For tips, log on to www.ndc.ky. This message was brought to you by the National Drug Council and Radio Cayman.
Talk today.
But I do have some questions.
Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back, and thank you for joining us. I think this is an opportune time to continue to highlight the importance of education, and sometimes that it's costly. But they say if you think the cost of an education is expensive, trying to be a politician. No, just kidding. Just kidding. Ignorance is even more, and it's not bliss. And going without the resources to fund your education, to have someone that we would admire who's working full time, studying full time, we appreciate that discipline. But then to have full, partial, or some other financial assistance while you're studying takes a little of a burden off the individual, but also their support system, whether it's the parent, spouse, or otherwise. So this scholarship program that CIS is offering, Ms. Rita, as you were sharing with us, it's open just for repetition. Who's open to, and how do we apply and buy wine?
Yes, excellent. Thank you, Sterling. It is open to Caymanian students who would be entering grade 9, 10, or 11. So that's also typically known as year 10, year 11, year 12 in the British system. Okay. And right now, all you have to do to check your eligibility is to go onto our website, cis.ky. Find the admissions page and click for the inquiry on the scholarship. It's a quick form to fill out. We just need to verify that you're Caymanian, and then from there we send you the application, and it's the same application that you would use if you were applying regularly. And from there the committee will meet and will set up interviews with potential students. We're very, very excited and thrilled to have this opportunity to invite and potentially have more Caymanians come to our school and be a part of our community.
And you have to do that by the end of...
Yes, thank you. By the end of this month, April 30th. All forms, applications, everything due at that time.
Right. And I certainly appreciate your students, if not just their eloquence and intellect, but the way they engage me and the intrigue with which I find myself when you think of education and want to revisit the classrooms. And it's a wonderful time to be a student, whether in high school or university. Ms. Alina, if I could ask you, education-wise and future career choices, as we were chatting before the break, sometimes we know what we want, sometimes we think we have an idea, and even when we're convinced, we find our interests piqued by something else, and we may pursue that as well. Your perspective?
Well, I find that a lot of students discover what they're passionate about and what they love to do, not just strictly inside the classroom, but when you're doing projects or you're doing service or anything that's not strictly inside English, math, science, history. Like, you discover what you love to do when you're working with other people, when you're experimenting with other things. That's why I like the service. That's something I really enjoy.
Zion, what about you?
I completely agree. The service is really important, and also plus because we have such a plethora of classes that we take, 6 core classes, like Miss Rita was saying, plus the CAS project, the service project, theory of knowledge, which is basically how we know what we know, studying intelligence and that kind of thing. It provides students that maybe don't know what they want to do an opportunity to just try everything, find out what they really do want to do. So instead of like a British system where there's only 3 or 4 classes that you take, here it's a variety.
Yeah, and this is where I think, perhaps from that perspective, David, we want to make things sometimes as accessible as possible, maybe even as streamlined. We put labels on things so that we know where to find them and we can come back. You think of your new flowering garden, even though you might know all the plants, you still keep the little tag on just to make sure. So when I come over, I can tell, oh yeah, that's a begonia, that's a zinnia. But life is in a box, and our minds are always evolving and developing and curious. That learning that we find from high school, as you shared, and then back into the working environment, either a few years after university, or in some cases, even 20 years later, the memories are almost as if they were yesterday. From you?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I still find myself quoting things I learned back in biology in 9th and 10th grade. And yeah, I mean, they seem to be really on the right track in terms of just keeping things as open as possible, having as much knowledge as possible for you to draw on in the future. I never liked math when I was in high school. I did know the importance of it, and so I pushed myself as far as I could so that, in the event that I needed to draw upon that knowledge in the future, I could. And that's the same, I suppose, one of the reasons why I studied law in university as well, even though I had made up my mind as, I wanted to be a lawyer by this point in my life. There's a sense from that kind of degree that from there you can be sort of launched into any other type of career, whether, that's a businessman or a politician or, someone that's active within the community. There's various things to do to just better prepare yourself for anything else you want to do in life. It's not, you don't necessarily need to say I just do math because I want to go into accounting. English is important, science is important, being a well-resourced and spoken person is also important. So it's just doing as much as you can, really.
And sometimes I think, I'm glad that we got a chance to chat, because I think as parents, I keep emphasizing, we wake our children up, or perhaps help them in the mornings as they wake themselves, but we get them to school, or we get them to their activities, and in pushing them, we think we're doing them a favor, and we probably are. But as you shared, if they don't have that equal buy-in, your example with the math, you know what you want to do. How is math relevant to law? I just need to get my paycheck, it was deposited to my account, my billing hours are there, and my accounts department will take care of that. I don't need to know about math, but that disciplinary resolve that you had.
Yeah, I think the key is, it's not so much what you're learning, but why you're learning it, and how it can affect you in the future and benefit you, and how you can draw upon that knowledge. And I mean, if you're going to math and you're struggling to figure out its importance, it's because you need to do it to get your diploma. And if you want to become a lawyer, you need that. So that was my drive.
And I think, Ms. Rito, the IB program, like many, but that one in particular, as it's we see it offered at University of World College, we see it in other jurisdictions, and even in our other schools here. We're valuing, I think, as I am sharing, you're not just learning, but you understand why you're learning, what you're learning, how to apply it. That gives the child an opportunity to become, what is it that we're, as parents, I keep asking educators, please teach our students to be critical thinkers. You have that.
Yes.
For the parents, primarily, given that, it's lunchtime and their students are probably in school and they're going to pick them up this afternoon, child at the dinner table, what do you tell them about this program in relation to applying and so on?
Well, first off, I think it's an excellent program. It's one of the most rigorous ways that you can get your child academically ready for university. And it's accepted not just in the U.S., but UK, Canada, worldwide, really. So that's the benefit of following the International Baccalaureate Diploma program. I would highly encourage parents to take a look at it. Go online, take a look to see what the IB program is all about if they've never even thought about having their child experience it. I've had two my own children, one who graduated and one who's finishing up right now, even as we speak. And as a parent, I can speak to them too to say, yes, it is rigorous, but it is definitely something that's going to be very beneficial, not just the core classes, but all the other aspects of it and getting them ready for it. The best thing, if you're interested, is also just to contact the CIS admissions department. Email us and we are more than happy to answer any questions. Call us up. We're absolutely happy to explain the program and the scholarship in more detail.
Indeed. I know, Jim, as you shared, you just wanted to come in and be a part of the supporting cast. But as director, you must be incredibly proud. I mean, these students are remarkable, not just their eloquence, but the ease with which they speak and the frankness, but also the honesty. It must be great to be part of a wonderful admin.
Yes, absolutely. The students and children always make us look great. And bringing people through the school, I try to do my best to keep my mouth quiet, which is difficult, being in school head, and let the students do the speaking and let them share with their fellow students, with adults, with their family, with their friends. So absolutely, we're very proud of, obviously, Zion and Alina, as well as all of our students.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, man, it's a wonderful time to be a student. This is a wonderful place to be a student and to see what the future holds with the promise and potential that the two of you exhibit. It's encouraging. If you are so inclined, as we close our discussion, I'll perhaps start with you first. Any particular thoughts, either to fellow students, to adults listening, not just about the pursuits and the vigors of education, the sacrifices, but maybe sometimes we fail to appreciate that you're children as well. I say that respectfully. I mean, I'll always be a child at heart, I promise you that. My father says, age is just a number. You're living, you're loving, you're learning, you laugh, and you be honest with yourself. As you go through your schooling, what words of encouragement you have for your fellow students, maybe parents, when it comes to academics, but also the rest that life has to offer?
Again, I'm only a child, so I don't have too much wisdom to share as of yet, but...
That's a wise guy.
But I would say, again, it's really easy for me to say now, but just try. Really do push yourself, understand, how Mr. David was saying, understand where you maybe aren't as strong, maybe push yourself there even more so you can be successful there. Just try and be as well-rounded as you can, do the extracurriculars, do as much as you can, really.
There's wisdom there from what the scriptures talk about, from the mouth of babes. You're wise, my friend, much wiser than you think. Mr. Lino, any words of counsel, instruction, advice, whatever you wish, ma'am?
Same as Zion, we're still young and we need to enjoy the time that we have because this should be fun for us and you should enjoy going to school, enjoy doing your extracurricular activities, and it shouldn't be dreadful. You need to enjoy everything you have and appreciate your friends and the people who are there to support you.
Indeed. David, I mean, we're still young, but we don't know everything.
When I hear Mr. David or Mr. Lee, that's something to get used to.
Get used to it, my friend.
I think there's always this misconception in Cayman amongst the public that there's not enough opportunities being afforded to the youth, and in particular Caymanians. I always, strongly disagreed with that suggestion. I mean, the scholarship is obviously, proof that that's not true. Everything that I've done so far, from my CIS scholarship, I went on to get a Walker scholarship, and that funded all of my studies. I came back, I got a job, I've got employment opportunities and travel opportunities. All of those things came about because of the opportunities within the community, at very limited expense to my parents and to myself. There's so many opportunities out there, sports, scholarships. My one thing would be to just take those opportunities. It doesn't matter whether you aren't sure whether you want to do it. At the end of the day, you're just setting a benchmark, and you're doing something, and I really like that, let me do it again next summer, or I didn't, but at least now you know that you don't want to, play a specific sport or learn a specific subject. It's just, do as much as you can with the time that you have, and people should really be treating their time as a very sort of valuable resource. And the more I practice law, the more I begin to understand that we sort of measure our work in increments of 6 minutes, and at the end of the day, those 6 minute increments, whether you're taking a break or actually doing work or just wasting time, you realize how important your time was back then. So really just use it and do everything you can with it.
And that's the crucial thing. We talk about time management. My father always said there should be another commandment: thou shalt not waste time, because it is the one thing meted out. Closing thoughts, Ms. Rita.
So I would highly encourage anybody who's interested to please send us an email at admissions@cis.ky if you're interested. Call us, and also go on to our website, cis.ky, and click that inquiry form and just find out if you can take this opportunity and go ahead, apply, and see what our school is all about.
Well, thank you all very much, and future discussions hopefully will unfold as we continue to focus not on the successes only the Davies and the Zions and the Linas, but your school and the wider education community. So have a wonderful rest of the afternoon.
Thank you.
For having us.
Thank you for having us. Yeah.
Well, we're going to pause and take a break, and when we come back, a different topic, seeing wonderful guests. So stay tuned for Talk Today.
Satisfaction is guaranteed 24 hours a day, whether it's music or information.
Grand Cayman to Cayman Brac to Little Cayman. We've got you covered.
You ever hear a thing like that?
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman. Your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
With your latest headlines, I'm Felicia Rankin-Zollins. C3 Pure Fiber, Cayman's locally owned fiber optic telecommunications provider, enhances their network diversity by establishing access to both landing stations in Grand Cayman, Maya 1 in High Rock, and CJFS in Georgetown. Having access to both landing stations is another step towards total market liberalization in the telecommunications industry in the Cayman Islands. In international news, a satellite image of Bucha in Ukraine appears to show bodies lying in the street nearly 2 weeks before the Russians left the town. The image from March 19th, first reported by the New York Times and confirmed by the BBC, directly contradicts Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov's claim that footage of bodies in Bucha that has emerged in recent days was staged after the Russians withdrew. The satellite image shows objects that appear to be bodies in the exact locations where they were subsequently found by Ukrainian forces when they regained control of the town north of Kiev. President Joe Biden and the First Lady are to host a rare wedding reception at the White House for their granddaughter Naomi. The eldest Biden grandchild will celebrate at perhaps the most exclusive venue in the U.S. Only 4 other wedding receptions have ever been held at the presidential home. Russia's Football Federation has dropped an appeal against FIFA's World Cup suspension that was imposed after the country's invasion of Ukraine. The Football Union of Russia had protested against the ban, but the Court of Arbitration for Sport says the FUR has now withdrawn that appeal. However, Russia will continue to fight bans from other sporting competitions. These are your headlines. I'm Felicia Rankin-Zollins. For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab. Blood test, x-ray, and mammogram, all of that is MedLab. Affordable fees and friendly service, a full professional team. MedLab is always comfortable, MedLab is always clean. For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Call 949-7331 and ask about MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
Did you know that ValueMed Pharmacy has a free online prescription service? Managing your health and medical requirements has never been easier with ValueMed. Simply visit value-medpharmacy.com. That's VALU-medpharmacy.com and click the Refill Prescriptions tab on our website. Fill in the information for new prescriptions or refills and choose your preferred pickup location, ValueMed on Walkers Road or Boddentown. Then bring in your original prescription from your doctor when picking up. There's no need to stand in line and wait for your prescription. Save time and pick up prescriptions at your convenience by visiting value-medpharmacy.com. That's VALU-medpharmacy.com.
Talk today. But I do have some questions.
Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back, and thank you very much for joining us as we, to continue to focus. I think as one of our last guests, David Lee, shared, there's so much happening in our communities that sometimes we don't realize the extent to which. But whenever we get a chance to, speak to conservation, to environmental matters, and specifically focus on what's happening at the Cayman Turtle Conservation and Education Center, and you will have to guide me. And forgive me to some extent, I may still call it the Turtle Farm. I actually called it mariculture the other day.
Really? Wow.
And
It's
I
going
was
way back.
like, really? Well, Uncle was there for the longest of time, so it was a beautiful place to come as a child. And we'll get people to share with us. So join us, the marketing manager, Ms. Natalie Porter, and I make sure I get his title correct. Get his history. Former GQ model. No,
Jeez.
He's the curator in terrestrial exhibits and education program. So,
thanks, Dwayne.
Hey, listen, man, you pay me the right amount of money, I say good things. But I like that laughter because I think it's true that we get to not only learn, but we get to appreciate. And to, my reference to mariculture, we see what it was in its early days. We see its importance on a global scale. All things aside, it serves as a great repository for knowledge and research. Mm-hmm. But we also here as a resource that can attract many who visit the shores, many who have been living here for the longest of times as an outing. And there's always something new to discover. But let's get into that. Perhaps, Ms. Natalie, from that perspective, April is probably the best month.
Yep. Absolutely. We have an action-packed month ahead of us. So April is Earth Month in the Cayman Islands. The international theme this year is Invest in Our Planet, but we think that right here at home is a great place to start. So we've been working in conjunction with the Cayman Islands government's Earth Month Committee, and they are celebrating the theme Invest in Cayman. So the group of us will be sharing content on our social media channels throughout the month, aligned with different topics along the Earth Month theme. So you'll see yesterday we shared a video on mangroves. Today we're highlighting our coral reefs. And in addition to that, we have a whole host of events and different education initiatives coming up this month as well.
And I'm hoping that as some students, irrespective of whatever they may have to do over the Easter break, but as they're on their Easter break, as we celebrate the Easter weekend, we'll start to look at that in light of our impact on the environment and what the activities are planned, from the traditional camping to Easter egg hunting to, the church services, but to see what it's like. Get us from that perspective. What are some of the things you want to initially share with the listeners relative to activities, in particular, through the Turtle Center and Earth Month?
We're going to have our usual animal-related activities. They have the Earth Day turtle release on the 22nd, Friday the 22nd, which is Earth Day itself, even though we celebrate the whole month. Because, to be honest, we should be celebrating the whole year.
Yeah, Earth Day every day, yeah?
Yeah, yeah, because this is where we live. There's no other one. And the other thing we're doing is we have a mangrove tree planting. Natalie talked about the mangrove poster we put out in conjunction with the Earth Day Committee. We also want to highlight all aspects of investing in Cayman, investing in our environments and what the benefits it gives us. So the mangrove topic is well known, but just like Coca-Cola keeps advertising, we can keep advertising it.
But that's an interesting thing. I mean, there are probably many of us that not up to that long ago didn't realize that our mangroves, we could plant them, we can transplant them, we can propagate, and they'll grow. For someone else, it was, wow, this thing is impossible, if nature doesn't do it. But we've been able to positively intervene.
Yes, yeah. We have our own nursery here at the park, and that came about semi by accident because we created a nursery specifically for schools, because the schools that visit the park, we get around 2,000 school children that visit the park every year, and one of the curriculum items we look at is mangroves. So we created a mangrove ecosystem there, And then after we created it, and those mangroves started to grow, and they're dropping their propagules and so on, what we call the sea pencils, we realized, you know what? We planted these things, so we could probably plant more. So we did. Yeah. So we have our own nursery. So we got the extra benefit of not only teaching them about mangroves, but also teaching them that, like you said, we can do our own little pit. You know, you can grow a little mangrove seedling. It doesn't have to be necessarily a mangrove seedling, but you can grow a mangrove seedling and plant it yourself.
And this is where it's referenced earlier, the education and the knowledge sort of based economy that we are. You know, we look at human history from the agrarian society to the Industrial Revolution, and what, you know, at some point ago was the information age. But it's all about knowledge and knowledge transfer in the Cayman context. So whether it's the research relative to turtles and, you know, other reptiles, or it's mangroves, you know, whether it's the red, the black, or the otherwise, you can give the public a chance, Ms. Natalie, to see these things in action, be a part of it, and understand their impact through the Invest in Cayman, as we sort of always say, Invest in Our Planet initiative, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And we have so much at the centre to learn about as well. So one thing that we introduced last year was, as our Easter event, we introduced a scavenger hunt. So this is a park-wide scavenger hunt. You can pick up a copy of your map in the Cayman Compass. But you come along on the day and you go around, you look for the clues, and then each one of those clues, you will learn a little something from it. It'll be a question about sea turtles, question about our Cayman parrots, for example, you might find in the aviary. And we're encouraging people to, you know, take part in that scavenger hunt, go around and find out the answers to those questions. So you pick up quite a few facts along the way about our culture, heritage, native wildlife. So it's a really fun activity for the whole family. And then, as you mentioned, you know, every day should be Earth Day, and we try and reinforce several of those messages. One of them being ocean conservation and our initiative of 3 plastics a day. So we teach children educational presentations to try and pick up 3 pieces of plastic waste each day. So whether it's on your beach walk, on your way home from school, if every one of us picked up 3 pieces a day, that would amount to over 1,000 pieces a year. And it's still only a small drop in the ocean of the plastic waste that's out there, but we encourage everybody to do their part. So to reinforce that message, children 12 and under will get free admission to Cayman Turtle Centre when they bring along 3 items of plastic to be recycled on the Saturday, the 16th of April. And that's our Easter Festival and Scavenger Hunt Day. And we're really grateful to Junk Cayman for making sure that those items get sorted and recycled appropriately too.
And I'm glad that we not only emphasize the recycling. I mean, the scavenger hunts for many of us are fun, teams of 2 or teams of 4, it doesn't matter. You have somebody that you're with and you're enjoying it. You're debating, you know, sometimes what the clue will take you. But get it from that impact that we see on the environment, whether it's in the sea or on land, of plastic, from the straw, you know, to the wrapping of some sort. It's sad, I mean, for want of a better word.
Yeah, it is sad, because maybe people don't like to hear it, but we're actually consuming plastics every day. You know, and that's, things go up the food chain. You know, it's at a point where they're finding plastics at the bottom of the Challenger Deep in the Mariana Trench and in the Antarctic. Yeah. So these things are far-reaching. And like Natalie said, that initiative that we started with 3 plastics a day, it's just to get people into the mindset that, you know, you can't just throw up your hand and say, oh, well, it's out there, there's nothing we can do. Every little bit does make a difference in some way.
Yeah, and I'm glad that sort of discussion, that sort of initiative, may get people to actually be very conscious that just like anything, we impact things negatively or positively. From the Mariana Trench to the Antarctic, who would expect? I'm pretty sure it's on the moon as well.
Who knows? Astronauts might have left some candy wrapper up there or something.
You never can tell, right? And this space debris, I mean, the way we almost use euphemisms at the time, we're somewhat kind of selfish, careless, insensitive consumers or users of certain things. Your initiatives for the month can help us to shine a light on that, to affect what we do, so that it improves the quality of life of us as we age, but our children as they grow.
Yep, And it's something that we really embody with our values as a company as well. So all of our crew members really kind of get on board with this message too. One thing that we participate in every year as part of that is the Chamber of Commerce's Earth Day cleanup. So it's become an annual commitment for our team. Our crew members look forward to it. This year we've chosen to clean up Barker's National Park. So we'll be out there on the morning of April 23rd doing our own part to clean up part of our district as well. We encourage everyone on island to join in and do their own little bit. As a thank you for that, we'll actually be giving 50% off admission to anyone that takes part in the Earth Day cleanup and then comes into the centre with the Earth Day cleanup t-shirt on that day too, April 23rd. So we're really doing what we can to reinforce positive behaviours within our community too.
I think we all want to live in a safe, clean world, environment, whether it's our offices, even our cars, our homes, our neighbourhoods. But what are we willing guys to do personally, individually, deliberately to achieve that?
Well, that's like you said. That's the information part of it. From my point of view, I think people have the information, but they kind of feel stuck because they have all this thing, and like I said earlier, they can take it and just say, "Oh gosh, there's nothing I can do. It's already out there." Or you can take that one little step. So, like I said, the 3 pieces of plastic, like you said, plant a mangrove. I mean, one mangrove tree produces a lot more. And that's why we send out turtles. One turtle produces a lot more. And one little action can produce a lot more if you can get your family into it. So this scavenger hunt that people go around, a lot of families take part. Last year when we did it, at least in my experience, I met a lot of families. Parents chasing the kids around, trying to do it, learning things together, having fun. And that's a good time when they're in that emotional high. That's a good time to get the message across. And once they feel empowered, that they can do one little thing, turn off a light switch, and you leave the room. All that kind of stuff helps.
Yeah, as you shared, they're having fun, but they're learning and not realizing. And sometimes, as the parents, as the adults, we know these things. We probably don't realize how much we've taken for granted. Yes, we recycle. Yes, we're cautious about certain things. Yes, we're cost conscious. Yes, we're environmentally sensitive. But unless we take stock, we don't appreciate how much more. Sort of preparing for a discussion, I reached out to a family who, as part of the child's school project for the term, so just a few months between September and December, even in this environment, the child had to do something particular. And one of the things the family decided to do was, how can we change our consumption habits? So we can buy in bulk, maybe we can not buy certain products because of the packaging. And they went from 3 bags of garbage as a household, or 4, to not even 1 bag of garbage. Now, a lot more recycling. At first, it was just impossible. They said, they're so accustomed to tossing this thing, here, properly bagged. The dogs don't get at it, the chickens don't scratch it. It's taken away, it's all clean. But now that will translate into savings and, a third of the garbage bags being consumed.
Yep, absolutely. I can say that has certainly happened in my household since COVID. So during the lockdown, my husband started a little garden, started to grow a few things, and now every milk carton we have is saved and cut up into a plant pot. And we've really found ways to recycle a lot of our waste. And the same thing, now we only have to take out the trash once a week. It's just 1 bag of waste.
Just 1 bag. Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, it's great. And sometimes it takes, like you said, I think I heard you on the radio earlier say, the mouth of babes.
From the mouth of babes.
Yeah, we've learned things from students that have come to us too. Yeah. They've given us some great ideas.
But for clarity, I didn't say that. Susan was there when it was actually the first written recording, so she repeated it to me.
Yeah, you can deal with that afterwards.
Trust me, I will. But it could be worse, I could say it was Miss Loxley, then I would not be good. No, but we don't appreciate what our children offer and how we affect their lives until we stop and appreciate how they can affect our lives. So we get them, like the example with the student in that household. The family commits to, let's be a part of this because we want the child to get a good grade. The child doesn't want to feel unsupported, and then only to realize that it has a knock-on effect on the economics of the household. It shows the frustrations that you can have sometimes as part of a team, because everybody needs to play a role, and then you see the consequence of it being very positive. But your plant pot idea, with the plastic becoming a container.
Yep.
I don't know. But I wanted to ask, because here we are. Next weekend, I think, is Easter. All right.
Yeah,
I think
that's right.
like next weekend is.
Weekend after next.
2 more weekends.
So not this weekend coming.
Yeah.
So the weekend following is Easter. Children out of school. You have the scavenger hunt. You can have your cleanup. You have in your but there's something that I wanted to ask about, because let me see, make sure I get my directions. You come in and then you walk this way and turn that way and then you wiggle around, and then in the back there you have a nice wonderful caged area and some wonderful feathered winged creatures. I love it in there. Oh, you have anything special planned for that section with any of your birds and the like?
Not in the aviary itself,
Okay.
but one of the things that we are going to be doing, which is the week after Earth Day, and there's a reason for that, is that we're having a white-crowned pigeon release, which is what some locals only know as ball pates.
Ball pates.
Yes. White crown. Well, we try to be professional, so we use a white crown pigeon.
No, you tell me. Gee.
Yes. Yeah, so we're having a white crown pigeon release. We have about 30 birds that were born and raised in the aviary, captive bred, all banded and everything, and they're all going through their quarantine period now. And
is a PCR test as well? So I can resist that.
That's a good one, actually. I don't think I can use that.
I'll charge you for it.
Yeah, no, I'll give you credit the first time. Second time, I'll take it. But yeah, once they finish that, what we're gonna do is we invite a school, primary school, to host a release. We did this years ago with a primary school before, and that worked out really well.
Yeah.
Because they had the children all excited. They prepared for it. They had little essays and did research on these pigeons and their impact on the environment and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, this year we're gonna do it again. So just so those guys know, that primary schools, we will be contacting you. There'll be a little competition to see who can host this event, and it's really cool.
Oh, it is. I mean, that particular bird, there's something about it, and probably some of us may, because of where we grew up, may have seen them more frequently, but in the last year and a bit, I've seen them much more than I had prior to that. In your backyard, where it's a heavy development, as opposed to the wooded sort of, pristine areas that still exist in East End and North Side.
Yeah.
Not so much in this part of the world.
Yeah, there could be a couple of reasons for that. One is that there is habitat loss, so that they're moving into other areas to try and find food, and they're coming around urban areas because people have fruit trees in their yards. The other thing could be because of our releases, because most of the releases we did in recent years were on the west coast of the island, but now we're doing more on the east side. In fact, we know that some of them are surviving because we have reports of people seeing our banded birds that we release around the Botanic Park area, up on the Queens Highway and over on East End. So we know they're out there and they're thriving because they're seeing the bands.
Yeah. See, I thought part of the reason why I was seeing was actually I was going outside. Prior to that I was inside. 4 walls, no. No, but in seriousness, this is where the turtle release, but also the release of them helps us to understand how we need to, whether it's the mangrove planting, or whether it's the initiative to plant, 1,000 trees for the Jubilee. Those are important things. What is it that you told me? The mangroves are the rainforest of the sea?
Yes, they are. They're natural sea walls, natural nurseries, and everything. And yeah, it was Cayman Turtle Conservation Education Center. We're not just focused on turtles. I mean, turtles are our primary objective. But, we think of the ecosystem, the thing as a whole. Because the turtles need the mangroves in a sense too, because the mangroves buffer the seagrass beds that they feed on, and as well as helping to keep the water around the reef, the silt on the reef clear. So all that works together.
This is, we talk about many hands make light work, but we never appreciate how everything is interconnected, interrelated. No man is an island, no island is an island. It's interdependence. And maybe the changing geopolitical landscape should remind us in the midst of war and rumors of war how no matter what the political implications, their real lives being affected by actions. The environment should be that clue. If I might, and certainly want you to share more, Miss Natalie, but Easter is a fun time for for families. But when children are out of school, sometimes families challenge. There's only so many vacation days that you can take, so many vacation days that you actually want to take at that particular time for the reasons. You have any particular summer camps, Easter camps, anything going on? That
Oh, yeah, we have plenty going on this Easter break. So kids can join in our Camp Shelby, which is our summer, Easter, any school break camp, essentially. It's very popular, but we do still have a handful of spaces left, and that's from April 19th to the 22nd. So a 4-day camp. You can find out more and register on our website at campshelby.com. So that's really popular. Also, you can, our Earth Day turtle release this year is open to the public. We'll be holding it at 10 a.m. on the 22nd of April at Governor's Beach. So local families are welcome to come out and see that release as well. Find out more about our turtle release programs, our conservation initiatives, and get to see one of our head-started sea turtles go off into the wild for the first time.
How and that's something that if you've never seen, it's amazing.
It's an incredible experience.
Especially like when Geddes takes the small ones in his hands and he walks so gingerly down.
Right.
It's beautiful.
Places them down on the sand.
And he just reaches
watch
down
them
and
get their bearings.
gives them a little kiss on the forehead. It's so beautiful. You have the video, right?
Yep. The turtle whisperer.
I don't know if I still have that video.
No, we do. You've tried to scrub it, but we have it. Just kidding. No, but it's
yeah, that's something that never gets old, to be honest.
You're kissing the forehead.
No, not the kissing parts. When you let them go, every time one goes out. I mean, we've done a lot of releases, the education and conservation team. But every time a turtle goes out there, and you see people's faces and how it affects them and so on, it makes it worthwhile because there's one more person that potentially is going to do something. Is motivated to do something positive for the environment because they feel a connection with this animal. That animal represents our ocean that we depend on.
Yeah, and it's wonderful to be able to go out, whether in the North Sound or off on 7 Mile Beach, and to see turtles. It's important, not just for the maritime history and heritage that we have, but the actual importance of what that creature is doing, for our environment.
Yeah.
Some of us don't even realize how we take for granted the fact that we can still drive in the midst of all the development and see certain birds, or as we swim, see certain fish, and they're being threatened. So your actions at conservation really make a significant difference. As we wrap up our discussion, we have the month-long activities. We know it's there. What would you say, Ms. Natalie, to the wider public? Let's not take it for granted what we have. Let's be active and proactive and engaged in coming along, enjoying and learning, but also participating in a way that is positive.
Yeah, I think Earth Month is a great reminder to us all that we only have one planet and that we all need to do our part in taking care of it. So a couple of things really to keep in mind this month are Easter weekend. If you're out camping, really think about these messages. Make sure that you don't leave trash behind. We are now at the beginning of turtle nesting season. DOE just announced that the first loggerhead nest was reported today. So, think about that when you're on the beach over Easter weekend. Be respectful of the natural environment. And just keep that in mind, I guess. So to encourage people to, whether they get involved in the Chamber Earth Day cleanup or do a little beach cleanup of their own, that's an easy way that while you're doing your morning stroll along the beach, you can just make that small impact. Like we said, 3 plastics a day certainly helps too. There is also an opportunity for volunteers. Cayman Turtle Conservation Education Centre. Like I said, nesting season is underway. It's a busy time of year for us. So we're seeking volunteers to help out with our turtle releases, our nest transplantations, and our nest watching programs as well over the summer. So if you're interested in getting involved in a volunteer capacity, you can reach out to Geddes. You can contact info@turtle.ky. and he'll give you some more information. It's a great way to give back too.
It is.
It is. Yeah, we welcome volunteers. Some people we've made some good friends off of volunteers. Some of them are students from overseas. Locals, so they're students overseas, and they go back and tell their friends, and they're so jealous. We have, like you said, we sometimes take for granted some of the experiences that we have here, and just the fact that you can be out there and make your contribution for the planet by volunteering it's it's a really good thing.
If I might, and in closing, and I'll be guided by both of you, some of us who live and work here, whether we've been here for a long, long time or only, shorter, don't see, the Turtle Center as a West Bay facility. See it as a national facility. This happens to be in West Bay. And if you haven't visited, just walking around the park itself, you will be reminded of its importance. Everything inside, I love the aviary. I like coming around and seeing the fish in the aquarium. You put in the water slide. Now, if it was 50 feet longer, it would be nicer, but we'll start there. And of course, the restaurant, man, the food is amazing. So it's a good setting. It's a wonderful.
Plenty to enjoy, for sure.
Yeah. It's just enjoyable. And I think we are too inclined to take things for granted. And if nothing, the last 2 years, or as I say, the last 2 centuries have been like, it's a reminder that we have so much at our doorstep. We just need to avail ourselves of it and go with the family. Be part of the scavenger hunt. Come for the afternoon and enjoy the month.
Yeah. Take advantage of our resident rates or pick up an annual pass so your kids can ride that slide every Saturday. We have plenty of annual pass holders that say that. We'll be here every Saturday. They'll ride the slide 100 times.
And they never get tired of it.
Yeah.
They never get tired of it. But,
including the kids.
They get tired when they get home and they go to sleep, which is good for you.
That's the benefit. That's the benefit. Well, thank you very much. Any final thoughts, Ms. Natalie, if you want to lead again, just a reminder, if you wish.
Yeah, just a reminder to really think about how you can give back to our planet this Earth Day. But of course, Cayman Turtle Center has plenty of activities and initiatives for you to get involved in too. So take a look at our website at turtle.ky and check out our social media channels for all of the updates. And we hope to see you at one of our events.
Hopefully.
Yeah, and to invest in our planet, invest in Cayman. This is, we can participate for our activities. And on behalf of the Earth Day Committee, there is also other things going on. So check out social media. We have links and tags to all the other things that people can do. And this is the time to get yourself into the habit. Like you said, without family, every little went from 4 to 1 bag.
3 bags to 1.
3 bags to 1. That's amazing. I mean, anybody, you can do that if you really try.
Yeah, and it just shows the effort. And for some, they go, what? They do 1 bag a week? We don't even do 1 bag a month. But maybe that family was doing 10 bags a week way back when, not realizing it. You just never know.
Yeah.
Conscious, consistent, concerted effort brings about a positive impact, right?
Yes.
So,
thank you for letting us share it with you. And hopefully, as a populace, we appreciate, at least over the Easter during Earth Month, how we can invest in Cayman. Today, Martin song, Invest in Cayman. All right, we're going to pause and take a break. Please join us up to become Mike. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
You see how hard it's raining?
Yeah, and I don't have time to fight traffic and get my lunch from Subway. I have so much work to do.
Why don't you order Subway by using the Let's Eat or Bento app? Save time, stay dry, and get your sandwich fast.
I never thought of that. Great idea. I'm going to order now.
Order me a veggie pizza while you're at it.
And a cookie platter for the office.
Too busy at work or home? Is the rainy weather stopping you from dining out? Order your favorite Subway sandwich, wrap, or pizza through the Let's Eat or Bento app with fast and reliable delivery. Subway, eat fresh.
Busy, busy, busy. Feel like there's not just enough hours in the day. Savannah Pharmacy, service to make your life easier. Now you can WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. And pickup is just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays. WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. Savannah Pharmacy, wholesome values with modern conveniences. The Department of Environmental Health would like to remind the public that applications for bonfire permits are to be submitted to the Secretary of the Public Lands Commission via email at plc@gov.ky.
This is how we wake you up in the morning. Praise time on Radio Cayman.
Stairs, 'cause I know my Jesus answers all my prayers.
Praise time.
Weekday mornings from 6 until 6:30.
Praise time.
There's nothing to go back to. Give me Jesus in the morning. For the God of the mountain is
is Praise Time.
Jesus in the morning, yeah.
Weekday mornings from 6 until 6:30.
Radio Cayman, maintaining the innovation.
On a daily basis, making it easy to connect with you, our listeners. Add us to WhatsApp today, 925-3261. That's 925-3261.
Radio Cayman.
Send a text or voice note.
Can I send a request, please?
You don't really have to ask us. Just send a request.
This is a shout out to my ex.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman, maintaining the innovation.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Good afternoon, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. And increasingly, I think they say that we don't appreciate how empowering and equalizing knowledge is. And the more and more we get a chance to share that we have great things within a wider community that we could avail ourselves, the more that we start to appreciate that the individuals who are now in certain positions, careers, they always extend an invitation that through their example, other students can take up the mantle and enter. And I think just generally speaking, the healthcare sector, we don't always recognize that beyond the physicians and the nurses and the lab techs and the pharmacists and the like, that there's so much. So at some point, I'll ask through my guests, before we close our discussion, a quick appeal to parents to encourage your children into that level of education. But let's do it this way for my benefit mostly. Let's pretend a few things, right? First off, we see the wonderful new facility that is the HSA pharmacy, for instance, right? And we see where we have presented to the populace, a system of instruction, and where maybe we don't always get to a space of understanding how our actions affected us, right? And for our listeners, but as much as for our newsletter, I'm thinking something, if I can parlay that into a bit of a comfort for our discussion, but also for parents to start to appreciate something. So you bear with me, right? We normally say ladies first, but we got to do it differently today, because it's best sometimes to throw the lamb to the wolves. No, I'm just kidding. You want to? And ask each of you to give a brief intro, and if you would allow me, and trust me not to impose too much on your person, but mostly to impress upon the professional aspect, and then we tie back into everything. When we think of pharmacy, sometimes we don't always understand how it plays into the patient's overall health and well-being. We expect the physician to do all the things, and then we go pick up the script. So we come back to that. But because as chief pharmacist, a brief intro just of yourself.
Okay, good afternoon, Dwayne, and good afternoon, listeners. It is truly a pleasure to be here again. I've got with me two of my colleagues, and I've got Sheree Banks Bailey, who is one of our team leaders and pharmacist, and Dejanelle, who is Dejanelle Vassal, who is also a team leader and involved with our IT, our IT pharmacy IT process, and they're both with us to talk about exactly what you said, Smith Road, the new Smith Road Pharmacy.
Yeah. It's I didn't want to give away too much, because if you haven't been in there before, and you think, well, this feels a lot like what you see in the immigration hall. You come into your right, you select what you want, and now serving. But the voice is even better because it's personalized. The IT component had to be significant, but you have to manage that into the expectations of the customer experience as well.
Yes.
So also, do you want to speak initially to that? Sorry. Well, how do we transition from that sort of approach that some would have even in this day of technology where we're trying to even make a person's medical information accessible to their different physicians, to where the patient comes in and everything is almost centralized and computerized. What was that like?
The process was we looked into our patients' concerns and how we could improve the current services at the outpatient pharmacy department. And we, had several meetings, several plannings, and the most important thing is we tried to improve the process for the patients, improve their privacy, improve their waiting time, improve their overall quality of service. So we, brainstormed and came up with strategies to improve all around for our patients.
Because your menu selection is, I wouldn't say exhaustive, but quite extensive. What are you here for? Where do you fall in relation to the payment system? And then that, I presume, would then, if I might, make sure that I have it. In my thinking, is very much similar to you go to a restaurant, we see the staff with this electronic device in hand, and you're making the menu selection, and it goes back to the screen somewhere in the kitchen, and then that is very much like that.
It is almost exactly like that, very similar. You are able to select your category, whether you are a Cinica 100% client, whether you have a private insurance, whether you are elderly and fall into one of our special needs category, pregnant, disabled. And this queue is monitored by our pharmacist and pharmacy staff on the back end. And we're able to assess and manage this queue as it's coming in. So if your special needs, we're able to push you up and give you an expedited service. We're also able to track the wait time. And, once it starts exceeding our expectations of our clients, then we're able to, put more staff and give attention to where it's needed.
I would then imagine that for many of us, we don't, as the patient, appreciate why surveys are being asked. We go to the HSA just for argument's sake. It's the same with other businesses. Well, just tell us what you experience. We get a phone call, an email, other like that. Feedback helps to inform you. If we can, maybe a couple of things ask. Do you have, and only if it's not improper to share publicly, sort of an expectation of what your patients believe is a reasonable wait time? Is it 3 minutes? Is it 30 minutes? Do you have a sort of indication of what? Because some of us are very impatient. I've been waiting 30 seconds. I mean, why isn't my turtle meat dinner not ready yet? It takes time.
It does take time, and the process is more of a safety process. It is ensuring that what is prescribed is correct, that it's not interacting with any other medications that you're on or any supplements, and that it's the correct dose. So it does take a little time, but we try to meet the expectations of 30 minutes for new prescriptions, that's persons that are waiting, and 15 minutes or less for persons that come to collect. And that is a major improvement, I would say, and we have gotten very positive feedback on those times.
Well, it's incredible because we would see that you come into there, quick turnover, so less people in a space interacting, perhaps bodes well with the protocols we employed some time ago. But then it also, I imagine, put a greater strain, or would it put a greater strain on your team to constantly be going and doing? Not all at once.
Well, so I was invoking the lady's first law there.
I appreciate that.
Yes, it is true. One of the things in pharmacy, especially, we are pretty much the last point of contact for patient care, and what we do in pharmacy. It could literally change persons' lives either for the better or for the worse if we are not careful. So it is necessary for us to ensure that we've got all of our I's dotted and all of our T's crossed properly. And sometimes, what's very interesting is sometimes you'll have all of that and you'll still realize that something is wrong with this prescription. You can have a prescription that looks perfect, but for some reason the name of the patient doesn't work out as far as the name on the prescription is concerned. And it's human error sometimes. These things happen. We have to catch those. We have to verify those. So while you're waiting and you've brought your prescription in and you're sitting there and you're thinking to yourself that my prescription is inside, so he said 10 minutes or 15 minutes. 15 minutes for better argument, really. You're waiting, but most patients don't realize that all of this is going on while they're waiting.
Mm-hmm.
What we have sought to do is to make sure that we communicate with the patients. So there's what we're doing on the inside to mitigate the situation, and then in our process, we've also come up with ways in which we inform the patient so they would have an understanding that we've discovered something with your prescription. It's probably going to take us another 10 minutes. So, like you said, and like Sheree said, we listened to the patients and heard what their concerns were. We know that we can get carried away doing our work. In many occasions, we get carried away with the clinical side of things to the extent where we're trying really hard to fix a problem or solve an issue. And in that situation, patients find themselves waiting. And we realize, the patient is waiting, we need to tell them. Well, we've sought to eliminate that. It's a whole lot of communication between the inside team and also the inside team with the patient. So we've got someone who is assigned now to the waiting area, a concierge who will communicate that sort of information from us to the patient. And that person also does a whole lot of other things. That person serves as our customer care person in the waiting room. We've never had that before. So there is one of us in the waiting room who is well able to communicate with the patients on several matters. Perhaps not the most clinical issues, but if that comes up, then we can have the patient sent to somewhere where they can discuss the clinical issues with one of us pharmacists, just to let them know exactly what's going on.
And I commend you for that, because many times, so we take the break, Ms. Susan? All right, when we come back, because many times, as a customer, as a patient, as long as you understand what's going on and you can sort of relate to it, there's a day, your physician may have changed a medication or changed the dosage, or as you shared.
Absolutely.
You want to be able to, patient safety first. All right, when we come back, I want you to continue to share with us, and thanks very much for allowing us to play on. I may have something else I want to do. I want to look at Colin sometimes, he's just not a good chess master. He's a strategist. All right, stay tuned for Talk Today.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointment.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Ask our professional team about the benefits of cutting-edge technology with MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
A caring and community spirit, cherished family and cultural values. These are some of the things that still embodies the Caymanian way of life in the Eastern Districts today. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, is delighted to offer products and services of real value. Whether it's catering to your family's medical needs or carrying apparel, gifts, and beauty products, Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
I've got some beautiful clothes. I know just where they go. Puritan Cleaners.
Puritan Cleaners, now using the most popular and eco-friendly cleaning solvents. 2 convenient locations to serve you: Savannah Countryside and Eastern Avenue, Georgetown. Drive-through, rain or shine, free pickup and delivery services available. Call Puritan Cleaners, 949-7104. Also ask about our in-house discounts. Puritan Cleaners, you feel good when you look good.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back, and thanks for joining us. I'm honored that through the HSA we can have this continuing partnership. And amongst all, perhaps my personal primary objectives is to be able to say publicly thanks and to get our public to appreciate that we have a great resource within the country. And then secondly, as parents and as educators, to gradually and continue to keep our children sort of introduced to sciences. And when it comes to healthcare, there's so many facets, even public relations, legal, there's the HR section, the lab techs. And I think our guest would say the probably most favorite part is maintenance, not pharmacy. But even in that, IT comes into play. Not just that we computerize things, but how do we use it? So let's also from that perspective.
Okay, so our approach was to get something to help us to indicate what's happening in the waiting area, so that in case we need reinforcements, we need additional assistance, there is an overwhelming crowd at a particular time, it helps us to plan better, and it also helps us to meet the expectations. And it also helps to ensure that we're doing what we promised as well. So our queuing system, when you come in and you check in, it alerts us that somebody is here waiting. It gives us an idea of how long you've been there. What category you fall in will help us to determine who can serve you. As it stands right now, we, from the payment standpoint, we are a little restricted in terms of who can accept payment. So we can accept payment from all customers, but that doesn't mean that a customer who has 100% cynical should suffer. They should wait. They shouldn't wait 2 hours because the person who is making payment they have to call an insurance company or whatever unforeseen circumstances that may delay their payment. So for those persons who we can assist with while that is happening, the system helps us to better identify who they are and how to help them. Now, our system also gives us an idea as to how long you've been waiting. We can tell then that a senior citizen who came in, may be waiting for about 5 minutes. And we would really like for them to leave as quickly as possible. Now, maybe we have somebody around the back who is doing something, who is filling a prescription. However, it's not for a person who is waiting outside. We recognize that a person who's not waiting, the person who's waiting outside is very important. So we try to pull that person from the back to come to the front to assist that person so that we can make the process a little faster.
You're taking the benefits of technology, but also the human intervention to respond. It's not just doing it now. Is that the thing that should be done in order to facilitate the customer?
Exactly.
All right. Does your system allow you to be able over time? It's relatively new, so over time, to appreciate you have peak hours, maybe some days, certain times of day, and the like?
Yes, it definitely helps with that. It gives us an idea that so far what we've experienced is that during lunchtime, around 12 to the 1 o'clock bracket, we tend to have a lot of persons. So we try to ensure that we have additional staff on the front line to assist those customers to get through a little faster.
Right. And this is why earlier I was sort of thinking of how to reference it so that we, as the customer, the public, would be more appreciative. Going in the premise, and forgive me, I'm up there so often sometimes that I just casually look at it and go, yep, this day at this time tends to be that. They're just a casual observation. There's nothing, empirical. Now you have the data.
Yes, and it tracks what's happening for week, for the month. There's a particular day. We can go back to that particular day and see what happened on that day. Is the situation where we were short-staffed? Did we have a fire drill or something that would have interpreted the service?
Yeah.
Right.
And this is where I think I come back to you, Colin, from the perspective of staffing and scheduling. Even your lunchtime, you may say to your team, well, listen, we can't more than X people are out on lunch during this time. But we are humans.
Very well said. Very well said, Dwayne. The thing is that we're right now at Smith Road, we're running a very tight ship. It's not tight and in the thought process as far as being rigid is concerned and difficult for the patients, but for the staff. What happens is everything is done, like the changeover of staff is done strategically. The maintenance of personnel at the front, so the patients will never have to come to the front. Will never come to the front and not see someone. Those things are important. And if you pay attention to what we're saying and the trend that we're giving you today, is that we are really interested in ensuring that the patients get the best care possible. And in order to facilitate that, like Janelle said, we shift people around on the inside. We ensure that we've got a good balance of pharmacists to technicians to pharmacy assistants. Now, circumstances arise where this is not always possible, but we will work on the inside to make sure it doesn't compromise the process. And with the electronic recording of all of our reporting of all of our patient activities, our process flow and so on, we're not only just looking at it, but we'll use it as well to see whether or not we need to make changes to accommodate or to facilitate the process as best as possible. And as you may well understand, it's quite a bit of work, but the team is up to it. We've been at it now for the past 3 weeks, I think. And so far, the feedback from the patients has been the most overwhelming we've ever had. But be that as it may, we are happy about that. But we are still striving to ensure that we make it better than this. And the reasoning for that is because pharmacy is evolving and medicine is evolving, and changes will happen, and we've got to meet those changes positively.
I wanted to add to what Colin said about the positive feedback. From an objective standpoint, I can happily report that we've been meeting our clients' service level expectations at least 85% of the time. There are situations that may arise, growing pains, teething pains, that may cause small issues, but at the very least, on an average day, we meet the expectation at 85%.
That's commendable, especially in 3 weeks. Less than 3 weeks almost now, right? What are your hours of operation? Because this is a huge dispensary, for one word. So you open every day of the week?
Yes.
All right. What are your hours for those who may know? Are they different from what they were when you were at the central station?
And they're slightly different. We are open Monday to Fridays from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. And Saturdays, Sundays, and public holidays from 9 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. And that's at both locations.
Okay. All right. I'll take the break in a bit, but when we come back, I want to ask, you had the, what I think hopefully was a well-received initiative on the part of the WhatsApp. Is that still in play? How does that work? Has it changed? And if it's the same?
Yes, we still offer the WhatsApp service. Actually, we enjoy providing it, and I think the patients enjoy utilizing it. It saves you a lot of trouble. When you send in the request, you have it prepared. All you have to do is come and pick up. So it saves you time as well. You don't have to wait in line. And we've had positive responses from our patients where that's concerned.
So just take a picture of you.
Take a picture of your label. You don't even have to take a picture of the label. You can provide us with your name, date of birth, and the items that you're requesting.
Wow.
And we will prepare it for you.
And you don't have to give us numbers or anything like that. No, we've eliminated a lot of that extra stuff. Just the basic information that she said and the name of the medication.
Wow. Amazing, huh? I mean, I went with that for them give the MRN, but that's...
You know it.
Yeah.
That's also very helpful.
And then when you come in, you just do the same kiosk, come to select you.
And also what's good about the WhatsApp is that in the event that an issue arises, say you're out of refills, you're informed right there and then that you're out of refills, that you may need to contact your doctor, or if it is that you maybe forgot to pick up your medication, that we have it here ready for you, or...
Yeah. All right. Maybe a few more things to share, calling you the team when you come back from the break as you wish.
Sure.
All right. I love highlighting education and healthcare. Today I got 2 in one day. Wow. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Radio Cayman.
The voice.
The heart. The soul of the Cayman Islands.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman. Your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
With your latest headlines, I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins. The Economics and Statistics Office will commence its annual business survey to measure the 2021 economic performance of industries in the Cayman Islands on April 11, 2022. Survey forms will be mailed or emailed to all relevant entities that produce goods and services in the Cayman Islands. Forms and other information can also be found on eso.ky. In international news, in a speech to the UN Security Council, Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky outlines a list of alleged Russian atrocities, showing a gruesome video. He alleges civilians were shot in the streets, thrown into wells, and crushed by tanks for the pleasure of Russian troops. Russia denies any war crimes, and its ambassador repeats debunked claims about bodies in Bucha. More than 60% of Putin's war chest has been frozen by sanctions, but more needs to be done, Liz Truss has said. The foreign secretary said crippling sanctions are pushing the Russian economy back into the Soviet era. More than $350 billion of Russia's $604 billion foreign currency reserves are unavailable to the regime, she added. Her call for more to be done comes amid condemnation after images of bodies in the streets of Bucha near Kiev emerged after Russian troops withdrew. 2 stolen notebooks written by Charles Darwin have been mysteriously returned to Cambridge University 22 years after they were last seen. The small leather-bound books are worth many millions of pounds and include the scientist's Tree of Life sketch. Their return comes 15 months after the BBC first highlighted they had gone missing and the library launched a worldwide appeal to find them. These are your headlines. I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins. For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
Busy. Feel like there's not just enough hours in the day. Savannah Pharmacy, service to make your life easier. Now you can WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. And pickup is just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays. WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. Savannah Pharmacy, wholesome values with modern conveniences.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back, and thanks for joining us. And as we continue with this wonderful partnership, using the Tuesdays with the HSA, we got a chance to highlight, what is truly a remarkable and continued investment in our health services. So, the new Smith Road Pharmacy, it's akin to what the chief pharmacist called it, a concierge service. Huh? It's nice, man. Even on weekends, public holidays. All right. Maybe sometimes, though, as listening public, we're so apt to take things for granted. We only complain when something isn't meeting our expectations, and we rarely take a second to compliment. And even so, when we do, the people on the receiving end go, stop saying that, you just say that, well, you won't know. But you guys have done a great job, from the design layout to the way the dispensary is operating, to be able to sit there and, is that headphones in the chairs that I see?
Oh, well... they're charging bays, actually. Okay. But I need to tell you something quickly. The pharmacy, as you see it, was actually conceptualized, designed, studied, and put together, even the very drawings, by our team. So it is a work that included every person on staff at some point in time, or someone from every section of staff, pharmacist, pharmacy tech, pharmacy assistant. And the person who did the drawings for the floor plans and so on is one of our team. The persons who chose the furnishings, and then all of us sat down and got together and put together the process and so on. So there were not people who were far removed from what the needs are.
And thanks for sharing that. And again, this is where sometimes the public don't appreciate the resources that we have within our team. But not only you build an ownership, you get to see how what you do impacts and affects others. But I gather there are some other good things to share.
Yes, Mr. Banks. We just wanted to remind the listening public about a few changes at our Smith Road location and at our main outpatient pharmacy location at the hospital, which is that refills are submitted primarily or only at our new Smith Road location. And the options for submitting your refill requests are through the WhatsApp, as Visional had mentioned earlier, as well as through online, as well as calling us or dropping it off in person. And we will communicate with you the expectation of when you can collect it, which is usually 24 hours.
For the refills?
Yes.
You still take new prescriptions at both?
We do take new prescriptions at both, but primarily we're encouraging the public to utilize the Smith Road services, the Smith Road Pharmacy.
All right. See that? It is a nice facility. I haven't been in there, man. It's impressive. Very impressive. But if I might, and certainly if it's not now, certainly before, and I keep wanting to encourage the adults that are listening into at least introducing their children to career options. And Colin, maybe with you, just within pharmacy, you referenced the assistant, the pharmacy tech. There's a plethora of different aspects that people can come out and someone they're studying, whether they become.
Yeah, we encourage our pharmacy assistants. What we do is our pharmacy assistants, when they're selected, they should have at least online pharmacy technician certificate or diploma, and those are available from several different sources. Unfortunately, they don't offer a practical component. And you're working in a technical capacity, then when the practical component is missing, and I think it is because in the United States, where those tests are done, there's an understanding that the person will have to be given a period where they do a practical component. For us, we're not really a teaching hospital, but we do it for locals, Caymanians who aspire through the pharmacy profession. What we do is we encourage them to do the online. Penn Foster is the one everybody knows, but there are others, like I said. We encourage them to do that, and then after they do that, we also encourage them to do a state board exam. The state board exam doesn't offer a practical component either, but it opens up your understanding and knowledge of the profession of pharmacy as a technician, and it gives you a broader scope of information. It is true that you've got to learn that information at a very rapid time in order to sit the exams and so on, because they don't give you a whole lot of time. Well, you can take as long as you want, but most people want to get it over with. And because of that, you've got to put in the work. You've got to study. We offer that channel to Caymanians, and we tell our students when they come in the summer about it. And we've had some who've done it. We've got some on staff right now, and they do well. And what I can also say is we've also got Caymanians who've become pharmacy technicians and have done the overseas course and successfully went through the practical training and are very good at what they do. We've got one Caymanian who is in the United Kingdom studying pharmacy at the moment, and I think she's probably near her final year. And she actually obtained a scholarship from the Cayman Pharmacists Association. We've got another young lady in pharmacy. She's a pharmacy assistant, and she got a scholarship as well from the Cayman Pharmacists Association, I think last year. And she's doing her overseas exams, her Penn Foster. So, and you know what? Sometimes some of these kids they didn't do science at school, but the enthusiasm that they come with, and pharmacy is a very active place, and it is a very busy place, and I think the amount of stuff they learn in that short internship experience pretty much sets the tone for them going forward to do, because they know every day they come to work they can learn to do something different. And with that, I want to say that the internship period is currently on for the hospital for the 2022 season. So if any of the year 10s, year 11s, or university students would like to, in any area of the hospital, I think all the areas are listed, they can go to the website or call our HR department, and someone will direct them. Just call the hospital, and someone will direct them to in most cases it's Miss Raquel Sutherland, and I'm sure she'll come along at some point and talk to you about it.
I'm looking forward to that, and this is where I encourage this continued discussion. Through this, we get to appreciate that investment that we have, both in the human capital, the physical infrastructure, but the ownership that we get through that. And having a chat with you now, being able to go to that new facility, you see the positive impact that it's had, the decreased wait time, but the spirit, so to speak, the comfort is relatively easy. I made a joke about the headsets, but the seats are there. You're not. It's a wonderful space. In closing our discussion, perhaps Ms. Sharon, from your perspective, any other thoughts, and Ms. Hassel, that you want to share specifically about the new facility?
Just that the entire staff is committed to caring about the quality service that we deliver and ensuring that we meet our expectations and hopefully one day exceed them. We are committed to your privacy, and we're committed to your health. And as pharmacy, we are often one of the frontline and most accessible persons, so it's still an option for you to come and ask to speak to a pharmacist to get some confidential counseling, some advice on your medications. Feel free to reach out to us because we're willing and we're here for you.
Now, technology, I think, rules the world. Right? And she's like, and when there's a woman behind technology, even more so, right? What thoughts would you like to share with us?
Well, I really do hope that the persons who come to our facility enjoy the experience. We understand that when you come to the facility, you're not necessarily in the best state. You're not well. And we're doing the best that we can to ensure that you get better or you stay well. And what one of the important things that we offer is the medications. And if you don't take your medications, then you won't be able to get better. And in that vein, I'd like to inform the public that when you request a refill or a prescription that has been processed, we keep it for you for up to 7 days. We ask that you come and pick up your medications so that you can take them, so that they can make things better for you.
That's why you prescribed it, right?
Yeah.
And Colin,
Well, I'm going to stay with Teacher Nam on that, because for someone who has gotten antibiotics, let's say, most antibiotics are a 7-day course. Some go beyond that. But in most cases, 7 days. And if you don't collect your antibiotics sometime within the first 2 to 3 days or so, in many cases, we know you can get worse. The situation doesn't get better. And you may probably even find yourself seeking even more intensive care, more critical treatment. So the best thing to do, really and truly, is we really want the public to remember to pick up their medication once they've brought in a prescription, and even painkillers, whatever it is. It is necessary for them to get the medication from the pharmacy. And also, we would like persons to know that they can ask us anything. We've got a counseling room. They can come to us and they can ask us questions about their medication. And we certainly have people in place to answer. And we've got the resources to find answers as well. We're not just in there to hand out, but we're also in there to educate. And we do it from time to time, on our own, we go out and we educate persons in different forums. But if they come to us, they will receive the same level of education necessary. And that also includes our diabetic education. We have a diabetic educator in our team, and who is also willing and able to speak with anyone concerning the treatment. Even if you feel well and things seem to be going well, and you want to know if you're doing the right thing or eating the right thing, the questions that we can't answer, we'll point you in the right direction to answer, to get answers.
This is where education is not just equalizing and empowering, but it positions us to appreciate from what you shared. I can imagine you go to your physician, she writes a script based on what it is. You may have had either an engaging exchange as to what you're taking and why, or you may have been so reluctant because you were overwhelmed and you're not quite sure. But before you fill it, you speak to the pharmacist, you get a better appreciation. I mean, how many of us have been in with a physician? She picks up the phone, she calls the pharmacist and says, this is what I'm looking at, and there is that exchange. You only hear one side of it, but you can appreciate that there is that sharing of knowledge, the expert in the medicines, guiding the physician as to how long and what type. So that dialogue is important, right, Colin?
Absolutely, yes.
Well, as I say, another 3 months maybe, give it a good quarter of data feedback, and you'll be back to tell us all the good things.
Of course.
We've now met 98% of patient satisfaction. Not for me to find.
But we believe that. We definitely hope we will get there.
I can see it, man. It's been.
I'm sure we'll make it.
We're striving for it.
Yeah. And please, public accept the accolades and the compliments. It's really
absolutely. Just want to say one thing. Our service level and changes are also going to transcend into our district clinics and our main pharmacy. So it's not just Smith Road that we're going to be flying the flag. It's going to be the same. We're working on having the same level of service everywhere, because we can't isolate a group of persons and offer them that service and then not transmit it over to everybody else who we serve. So we've got to do that, and the plan is for us to have that level of service offered throughout our pharmacy services.
Well, you see the success, you can replicate it, and then it's efficiency. I mean, it's time. Thanks very much. It's a lot of work, and I'm glad that you were seeing, some early days of success. So may it continue.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
All right. Let's pause and take a break. When we come back, I'm trying to encourage Ms. Susan to tell us about her upcoming, Bake Off. But we'll see. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointment.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Ask our professional team about the benefits of cutting-edge technology with MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
The Tuesday and Thursday edition of The Business Buzz is brought to you by Cayman Medical Supplies, providing quality pharmaceuticals, medical supplies, and consumer products to healthcare providers, retailers, and ultimately the patients at a reasonable rate in a friendly, caring, and timely manner. Cayman Medical Supplies is located at number 93 Smith Road, Windward Center. Telephone 949-6211. This is how we wake you up in the morning. Praise time on Radio Cayman.
Open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Open the eyes of my heart. I'm gonna walk them golden stairs, 'cause I know my Jesus answers all my prayers.
Praise time.
Weekday mornings from 6 until 6:30.
Praise time.
Jesus in the morning, for the God of the mountain is still God in the valley.
Shout for joy to God, all the earth sing glory to His name.
Praise time. Praise time.
Jesus in the morning, yeah.
Weekday mornings from 6 until 6:30.
Talk today. But I do have some questions.
Talk today. Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back, and thanks very much for joining us. It's going to be some open line for the 10 minutes or so. With any luck, we might extend it to 11 or 12 or 30. Nah, just kidding. Let's make hay while the sun shines, and when it's raining, let's be mindful that the weeds as well as the plants will grow. And a good friend, she always says, if you talk to your plants, they can feel the love. So let's be nurturing, whether it's our plants or whether it's in the kitchen, or whether it's our students or whether it's our co-workers. Kind, positive, genuine word can go a long way. So what do you have for us today? It may not be a compliment. It may not be that you intend to be a complainer, but there's something that you have to share. It's important. Now, sometimes in order to get to a resolution, to find out a solution, we got to identify and acknowledge that there's an issue. I think we've heard one of our parliamentarians once say that it seems that governments always want to find a problem for a solution. What we need to do is find more ways of making what we have much better. So share with us as you wish. 949-8037. Toll free the compliments of Flow at 1-800-534-TALK. That's 1-800-534-8255. And if you're looking for something to do tomorrow evening, if you're thinking of taking your children especially, part of a family outing, well, the Cayman Islands Baptist Church, 7 p.m., there's a cello and piano recital, Deacon Smith together with, Sejin Yoon. If you were able to hear some of our discussion yesterday, and if you heard it or didn't and want to revisit it, well, go back to our YouTube site and have a listen. So encouraging to have young people with not only the enthusiasm, the interest, but the aptitude and the willingness to commit themselves, to demonstrate to discipline, dedication, like the two young students we had earlier sharing. And as Mr. Borden indicated, he says, I'm young, so I don't have a whole lot of experience, but just shows you there's the wisdom there. Let's go to the phones. Good afternoon. Thank you for calling.
Oh, it's my pleasure, Sterling.
It's good to hear from you. How are you?
I'm pretty good, I hate to add any bit of negativity to the lovely discussion you had with the team from the pharmacy a little while ago.
Mm-hmm.
Let me say this up front. I think that technically they have a very sound team. I love the new pharmacy. Unfortunately, I have to go there much too often. But the problem is this. I know there are people who know what they need to do, and I don't know if they selectively choose who they can be unkind to. I don't know. I just feel that people tend to treat people they respect with a little more sympathy, a little more empathy. Now, the other day I went down there. Now, mind you, the setup is perfect. I don't think it can be improved on. And the intentions are, I'm sure, also perfect. I mean, wonderful and beautiful and everything. But now, the number system, I've seen it operate at other institutions, other agencies. It was there in immigration, it's there at the customs. Things operate. You take a ticket, and then you wait, and your number is called, etc., etc.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there are these little boards that with the numbers flashing and highlighted, saying, "Okay, number 2 is next, and number 3 is after that," and so on. So what I think that people need to understand is that everybody doesn't know what's happening down there. So when I go there, there's just one wicket, so to speak, that seems operational. So I go, and when I look at my ticket, I was third in line. Then the one just before me comes up. The person goes, collects, and leaves.
Mm-hmm.
So, because of the fact that there were no other numbers up there, nothing flashing, nothing lit, I assumed I was next in line. I couldn't see the other person because of how the place is set up. They were sitting with the back of the chair, and they're very high. You can't see if somebody's behind there unless you go around, people around the corner, so to speak. Now, I go and I advance to the wicket where this young lady was, and she says to me very coldly, "You have to wait until you're called." And I said, "But I don't understand. At least even if my ears aren't good, my eyes are good, I can read. It says that I'm next in line." And she said, "Sir, you have to wait until you're called." I said, "Very well." So I back off, and then she called somebody else who wasn't in the B group in which I was, right? So I understood that there indeed was somebody ahead of me. But you see, what I'm saying is that not that she wasn't right, she was 100% right. There was somebody ahead of me because I didn't see that lady come in. So the lady is obviously in there ahead of me. So she was very right. But what I'm talking about is the manner. And as I've said to some of the people down there, because I have to go down there all too often, I said to them, listen, when people come here, especially old people, they're miserable, they're crotchety, there are all sorts of problems going on in their lives. Not to mention the fact that they're ill and they need to come down here. So they need a little more TLC. So the people who are manning the counters, so to speak, I think they have a duty and obligation to be as gentle as they can. It's customer service after all. And if there was an alternative vendor of your commodity, you would chase away customers that way. But more importantly, it's not cool.
Mm-hmm.
The way this lady was with me. I thought about it, and I said, never mind. The gentleman you had on the show, I've known him for years. He started in a very lowly position and rose to the top. I have a high regard for him. I don't want to mess up anything.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're actually doing a very good job down there. I heard him say that the staff members designed the whole place, they conceptualized it and what have you. And I said to one lady once, I said, "Why you don't give you any shields, the little thing?" She says, the counters to separate them from the customers because they're vulnerable all the time, because most places have those little glass shields that separate them from the customers, the patients that come in.
Mm-hmm.
I felt so good about it. It's lovely. They have these charging ports. The seating is way, way, way better than the other place down at the actual hospital. And I have a great admiration for them and what they have done and the intention and everything. I just love it. But I'm saying sometimes you could be a little kinder, a little gentler with people because we don't know that you have something else up your sleeve, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
So I had no way of knowing. So when I advanced, she tells me, "Sir, you have to wait until you're called." And it was so cold. And I said, "But why? Nothing else is happening."
Mm-hmm. Well, I share with you that sometimes as people, we can be a bit curt, and sometimes on one end of the table, we don't always appreciate what's transpiring on the other. But I trust that that's something that would be addressed and acknowledged across all customer service sort of delivery channels, and whether it's in government or the private sector. So apologies and sorry that you've had that unfortunate encounter, but maybe it'll be the last time, huh?
Well, I certainly trust so. I certainly hope so. But I told her, because I'm not the kind of person who doesn't say anything and sees underneath. I think I'm generally very reasonable. And so I spoke with her, and I told her pretty much what I told you. I had no way of knowing that the system wasn't working the way I thought it was working. You see, there was no E or anything. I think there were just A's or B's or whatever I was at the time. And so when the person who was some 8-1 or whatever left, I assumed it's my turn next. There's nobody else there, as far as I knew, but there was a lady who I could not see. And so I advanced. So she could have said, out of respect, I'm not. And I said to her, I said, listen, if you live long enough, you'll get old. And you'll see how it feels if people treat you the way you chose to treat me just now. I said, you could have said, excuse me, sir, there's somebody ahead of you. Can you wait for a second? But no, just wait until you're called. And, I mean, it cut through me like a knife because I couldn't understand. I couldn't fathom the reason for her, hostility, because the man was very hostile. Now, technically, she's right. There's nothing wrong with the fact that I should wait. That the system I admire. I think it will eventually work well. But if they remember, if everybody who's there remembers that you're dealing with people who are sick are normally very crotchety. They're very difficult and irritable most of the time. And you, as the one who isn't in that position, should feel it's your duty to be gentle to them because that helps them emotionally. And if they're emotionally okay, it helps their body to heal better.
My friend, hopefully you'll be able to call us back again and give us a very positive report on better experiences there in Australia. Thank you very much for sharing, and trust that you have a wonderful day. Huh?
Let me see this quickly.
Yes, sir.
I was just there a little while ago. I saw a young man who was manning the wicket, and he was absolutely perfectly fine, courteous, and he was prompt. He did everything that I thought he should do in that position. So I just needed to say that as well.
See, you're objective and positive. So thank you for that too, sir. All right.
My pleasure, Dwayne. Thank you so much for listening.
You're most welcome. Have a good afternoon, sir. And I think as the caller highlights, we all are at times a bit perhaps stressed and stretched. Perhaps we are mindful that we seek, as the scripture talks about, humility before honor. We are appreciative that the greatest exercise of power is restraint, but doesn't mean that we always practice what we know. And when a word leaves our mouths, we sometimes wish we could have, clawed it back as it's, coming out, but it isn't the case. So in every engagement and encounter, let's see what we can do to make the next one even better. Life is about learning and sometimes laughing as we live. The joke that a friend shared, they say, why you get to live to be old, because you can't make all the mistakes, all at once, right? So let's do what we can to make, as the caller says, each encounter and engagement and interaction as wonderful as possible. And even in the midst of what may be an overwhelming, daunting ordeal, we can find a way to make some good of it, if not even for ourselves, but for the others who come after. We know that we've come through systems where the people will say, well, I had to do it and it was worse, so you have to go through it too, because that's just the way it is. And then there are others, thankfully, who say, listen, I had a hard time. I don't want to make it easier for you, but I want to make it better. I don't want you to forget how, and what it takes to get here. But why should you have to always reinvent the wheel? And that's what advance and progress is about, and that's what success should be. That your improvement makes the lives of others that much better. Until tomorrow, my friends, be blessed.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. MedLab in Smith Road Plaza, your complete medical laboratory solution. Call 949-7331. And Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village, convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays.
is where tradition never dies. This is